towel was still warm from the dryer when I folded it over the edge of the bed. Afternoon sun filtered through the west-facing window, casting long, soft streaks of gold across the room. The air smelled faintly of lavender and clean cotton, a quiet kind of comfort. I heard footsteps behind me before I saw him. "Could you check the guest room?" I asked, keeping my voice casual. His hand had just reached for the towel, but he paused. "For what?" he asked. "Not towels," I said, glancing at him. "Just check how she's doing." I left the dress hanging in there. She picked it with you in mind. That made him stop for a second, not confused, just aware. He nodded once and turned toward the hallway. I didn't follow. I already had a sense of how long he might linger. The guest room door creaked open gently. I imagined the warm lamplight casting its glow across the space. She would already be standing, probably near the corner where the light hits best. The dress she wore was simple. A soft blue, she'd said, made her feel quietly confident. He stood in the doorway. From where I was, I could sense his hesitation, not because he didn't want to go in, but because he didn't quite know what he was walking into. She looked at him and smiled, then stepped toward the bed, smoothing the front of her dress without thinking. The movement was light, natural. I stayed silent as I passed by the door. No need to look. She sat near the bed's edge, fingers loosely gathered in her lap, posture steady but not stiff. He still held the towel like he didn't know where to set it down. She looked up and met his gaze. Calm, steady. "Would you like to sit?" she asked gently. He didn't reply, so I moved into the room and sat on the bench by the headboard, placing a hand lightly on his upper back. No pressure, just presence. "She doesn't usually let people see her like this," I said, almost to the room itself. She adjusted the neckline of the dress slowly, unclasping a button near the collarbone. Not for show, but with thought. The fabric shifted subtly. Nothing was exposed, nothing inappropriate, just a quiet rearrangement. Her eyes never left his. "She chose this for tonight," I added, leaning slightly closer to him. "She wanted it to feel right." He hadn't sat down yet, but I felt the way his weight leaned forward. His shoulders tightened, then loosened. She made another small adjustment, and that's when he slowly lowered himself to the bed beside her. There was no rush, just stillness. She leaned back on her hands, composed, calm. He remained on the edge, looking at the space between them, like it was something sacred. I kept one hand gently against his back, a reminder he wasn't alone. "She trusts you," I said softly near his ear. "It's okay." She stood again, quietly, and took a single step closer. She didn't touch him, just came close enough for him to feel the shift. He didn't flinch, but his breathing changed. When she reached out and placed a hand on his shoulder, he looked up at her. Just that simple gesture grounded the moment. Still, he didn't move. So I shifted beside him and loosened the top button of his shirt. Slowly, carefully. He didn't resist. His focus remained entirely on her. She stayed present. Her weight shifted, but her posture remained confident. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. When I reached the last button, I paused. He leaned forward slightly, and I helped slip the shirt from his shoulders. I folded it neatly and set it aside. He sat straighter now, as though he were preparing to let something go. She didn't lean in, didn't pull away, just sat beside him, steady and close. Her hand reached for his again. No intention, no script, just presence. He looked down where their fingers met. He still wasn't speaking, but there was no tension anymore. Just silence and understanding. She leaned her forehead against his, and for a moment, everything stilled. Their breath fell into rhythm. His hands, once tight and uncertain, relaxed around hers. Her eyes closed first, then his. I didn't move. Neither did they. The space between them no longer felt held back. It just was. She shifted slightly, fixing a crease in her dress with quiet grace. She didn't leave her seat or change the distance between them. She just settled. When he looked at her again, something in his expression had softened. He reached, not hurriedly, not deliberately, just naturally, and placed his hand over hers. And that was enough. I stayed behind him, a quiet witness to something forming, not dramatic or fast, but honest. Thank you for staying to the end. If a part of that moment stayed with you, let me know. I read every comment. Like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Until then, take care.